This is UMass basketball.
I know this. I'm the most animated coach that you've probably ever seen in my team.
Thompson in the front court. Thompson will lay it in. And one. Hey, he's just being Frank.
And that's right. Welcome back to another episode of Just Being Frank. My name's Jay Burnham, voice of the Minutemen, alongside head coach of UMass men's basketball, Frank Martin. Coach, good morning to you. It finally got hot here in Western Massachusetts just as school has started up, huh?
You know, two things. First of all, after playing golf with me, I thought you never wanted to do this show again. I mean, it's I comprehend that I hit balls in parts of the course that no one's ever seen before, but I didn't realize it was going to.
You did struggle a little bit.
Oh my God, struggle's a nice word. But no. Secondly, on the heat part, I woke up this morning and like I usually do, I've told you before, whoever invented the Keurig coffee maker deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, at least in my life, because I'm a 1 cup in the morning guy, and you used to have to make those big pots and cups and drink 1 cup and throw everything else away. But and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the local news, and they said schools closing for extreme heat. I was like, extreme heat? It's 93 degrees. Like, what are we doing here? I'm like, oh my God, where are we headed?
We don't have snow days anymore. It's just heat days.
Oh my God. Even this year, we had one day. I mean, I used to live, and I remember there'd be 12 inches of snow, and it's life as usual. Yeah. We had like a dusting here this year, and my kids were in school, and they shut down the school. I was like, what's happened? I mean, it's just,
we went all August. It was like 70 degrees. It was great. And now, actually, as we're recording this, your guys were outside conditioning.
Yeah.
So what's the schedule for these guys now that, school's back and things are getting into motion?
Jay, it's one of the things that I've had to, I managed a certain way last year, and I was not, even though we started the year really well, I was not happy at the end of September with the plan I put in place. Why? Everywhere I've been, they're back on campus like August 17th. And you deal with all your meetings and you get to know. So by after Labor Day, your players are in a certain shape. And from a basketball perspective, I've already, I feel comfortable with some of the stuff we're doing in our teachings and all that for preseason. And then last year, I kind of tried to create a plan because our first day on campus is the day before Labor Day, and I usually give them a whole week off so they can acclimate to class and just be college students, man. It's the season's really long and hard, and so this year we've tweaked it some, and we're giving them off basketball this week, but Tony Reguera, who we had a great conversation with a month ago or so. He's put a plan together. It's something we spoke about in August as a staff, so we can attack September a little differently than we did last year. And so they were out there. We for this week and the next 2 weeks, they lift 2 days a week. They do conditioning 2 days a week. And in the spring and summer, we really don't do much conditioning, because we're trying to build their bodies up. So it's a lot, it's 4 days in the weight room, and we kind of leave the conditioning on them to go play basketball. But now we got to be, the plan is real simple. You got to be in shape so you can get through practice. And our practice, I don't pretend to be like this freaking maniac in practice, but I like competitive practices. I like teaching and I like competing. Those are two things that tickle me like there's no tomorrow. And when we're in practice, everything is 100 miles per hour from that standpoint. So guys have to be in shape to get through practice. There's nothing worse than somebody that's too tired, so then they can't. Who says it? Fatigue makes cowards of us all. I don't remember that. Is that a Lombardi quote? I don't remember.
That's sure. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happens. So you guys get fatigued. It's not that they can't shoot. They can't listen. So you can't communicate with them, and so you got to get them in shape so they can continue learning even when they're winded, and then use practices to get in shape for games. It's kind of the progress we try to make.
Okay, I got a couple things I want to spin off of that. But first, as I was coming in today, I saw you down on the practice court here at Champs talking with Coach Leffler from the women's side. And it looked like you guys were just spitballing some basketball philosophy. What were you guys talking about and going over today?
Yeah, it's their staff, obviously Torrey before. And I kind of knew Torrey a little bit from his time when he was an assistant at Kansas, and I was the assistant at K-State. And the other assistant in Kansas and I were Florida guys, and we knew each other really well. So I met Torrey some back then, and so once I got here, their staff, all the success that they've had, the program they built here, they could have been standoffish and just said, let this guy figure it out on his own. On the contrary, they kind of brought me in. They've helped me. Torrey, his previous staff, including Mike, and now when Mike got the head job, and but they were so good to me that all I've told Mike is like, Mike, I've been in your shoes where you take over for a very successful head coach at the place you're the assistant. I don't have the answers, but utilize me in any way you can, and just know that even though the world might say, well, does he know what he's doing? I'm behind the scenes. I know you know what you're doing. I need to pick your mind too. And so we watch each other practice, and we had spoken. We had that. By the way, I'm gonna pick on Ryan Bamford. He's not on the call, and you know me. I don't like talking about
my boss. All right,
he's my boss too, and I don't like speaking about people unless they're present, but so what? Let's have some fun with old Bamford. He's an AD. He's worked up all the time. I'm going to ask him later, is there a class somewhere in the educational component of becoming an administrator that says have as many meetings as you possibly can? I'm like, holy cow. So we had one of those department meetings yesterday, and we had two of them back to back yesterday. And Mike and I were just speaking when the meetings were over, and he said, hey, tomorrow morning you got a window? I said, yeah, absolutely. Jay's going to keep me busy, but we can definitely do this, and just a matter of sharing ideas. It's like our team. Our team next year is going to be, from the makeup of the team, going to be different than probably any team I've had from a personnel standpoint.
Why is that?
Just because our bigs in Sawyer and Matuk are not in a place where offensively they're ready to take on the responsibilities. And then the guys that are ready to take on those responsibilities, and Josh Cohen, and I'm not talking about the conditioning part. I'm not talking about a talent. I'm just talking about the responsibilities that come with, especially on offense and ball screen coverages and things like that. Josh, Matt, some of those guys, Daniel, they're big dudes, but they're not, if you isolate, like Daniel and Matt, and even Josh to a certain extent, if you just isolate them into just playing in the low post, you're cheating them because they're multi-talented guys. So I've got to be able to move them around a little bit. And they're different players, so they're good from different areas of the floor. So we got to create structure. It's the most important part in life to succeed is structure. If there's no structure, there's no chance for success. You might have success for a day, but it's a dead end street. So you need structure. And because structure is what gives us the balance to get out of bed every day and know what highway to drive on so we can move forward. So it's my job. It's what I tell players all the time. It's my job to create structure. It's their job to learn the structure. If I don't know the structure I'm creating, or I create a structure that don't fit the personnel, I'm not keeping my job. And as a player, if you don't fight, and it's my job to coach, their job to play.
Yeah.
As a player, if you don't fight to buy into the structure, then you and me are not going to get along. And if we don't get along, I'm not talking about as human beings. If we don't get along, player, coach on the court, you're not going to play. So that's the place that we're at right now. Mike, brand new basketball team. Me, brand new basketball team. So circling back to your original question, that's what Mike and I have been doing a lot. We've been sharing ideas of some things that we do similar, some things that he's trying to implement, some things I'm trying to implement that are maybe different than what he's done before, but because of personnel, and just like us, they took a foreign trip. So now he's got to feel, because there's one thing when you just do a 2-hour individual session in the summer, and then you actually practice 10 times to get ready to go play overseas, and then you play in a competitive game. You learn about your team in that environment, not in a 2-hour workout in the summer. Yep, go ahead.
Do you think does this statement hold true today? Are there really defensive-minded coaches and offensive-minded coaches? Or do coaches today, regardless of who they are, just really care about both sides of the basketball?
I guess I'm in the world of taking shots. We just took a shot at Ryan Bamford a second ago. Now I'm going to take a shot at football.
Okay.
Like, I hear people in basketball say, well, he's a two-way player. No, you know what, Sherlock? I mean, like, tell me one winning player that doesn't play both sides. Now, you can say that defensively that's not their strength,
right?
But they're competitive as heck to defend within their team structure. And I don't know, last time I checked, all the great ones were also all defensive players. That's last time I checked. And then the same thing goes with coaches. I mean, I know Phil Jackson, he got known because of Michael Jordan, the triangle offense. They were always the best defensive teams in the NBA when they were winning. Golden State, they're known for all the three-point shooting and, Klay Thompson, Steph, and all that. They're always in the top 5 defensively in the NBA. The Miami Heat, that, you can argue whatever you want to argue. They've been to the finals 2 of the last 4 years, and they've been to the finals more than anyone since 2006 or something like that. I think that's a stat I saw. They're always in the top 5 in the league defensively. Let's talk about our neighbors to the east here, the Boston Celtics. Everyone talks about Jason Tatum and all the scoring and all that. They've been in the top 3 teams defensively the last 3-4 years. That's why they've been at the top of the Eastern Conference the last 3-4 years. It goes hand in hand. It's when you got a good team, that means that they play together on offense and they play together on defense. And so I don't believe in that myth. And there's a lot of shticks. You've heard me say this in private. I guess they're celebrating him this weekend, Tom Brady with the Patriots. When Tom Brady left the Patriots, okay, he could have picked any coach in the NFL. Every team would have fired their quarterback to sign Tom Brady. Instead, who'd he pick? He picked Tampa Bay.
Yep.
They had a really good defense. They had the best offensive line. And they had an old, crusty coach that throws bombs and runs the ball between the tackles. That's what he does. And that's where he went. Yep. You can't win if you don't play defense. But let's do away with the two-way player. Unlike football, we don't sub every 3 downs to get the offense in and the defense out or whatever. The cute terminology that's basically used by people that never play. And I'm not taking shots at people who never play because I stunk as a player. But it's cute terminology that doesn't fit. You're either a good player or you're not. Last time I checked, all good players play offense and defense. They don't sub in and out depending on whether you're on the offensive side or the defensive side.
Well, speaking of football, too, lines of questioning here for you. I don't think we talked about this. It was a couple of weeks ago. You were down at Patriots training camp.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like from that angle, and how'd you get down there with those guys?
I took an oath when I went to see Coach Belichick that we're on to Cincinnati. It's no, I'm joking. They were incredible. It's easy to see this. I mean, when I'm extremely fortunate that they allowed me to take a peek behind the scenes, from team meetings to positional meetings to team practice to visiting with different members of the staff and front office, and I'm always, not only do I love football, and I'm a big believer in learning. I don't just preach other people learn. I'm always trying to learn. And to this day, football is the first sport I learned as a kid. And to this day, the way I structure my practices is very similar to how football coaches structure their practices. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, DBs, coach their stuff. Like in basketball, because they all play different areas, you got to teach them all the spots. But still, the breakdown to teach the whole method, which is the teaching method I believe in. You'd never know that as a basketball coach, I'd understand what the whole method is, Ajay. It's I'm just that dumb guy that tries to run back screens or whatever. But no, it's easy to see the attention to detail, the coaching of the simple things, the harping on the little things that came clear as day to me.
Yeah.
And when you see that, and here's the part, because it's not fair to them, they allowed me to watch, to speak too much about what I did see. This is what when I'm standing there watching, whether it's in a film room meeting with the situational guys, this was before cuts, so there's all kinds of people in there. And then on the practice field, old guys helping young guys. It just blew me away. I'm sitting there in the film room, and the coaches and the old players have a conversation. It's not like shut up and listen. It's a conversation as to what's being done right and wrong. Players communicate with coaches as to, like, but if I do this, then that. And the coach then explaining what he sees and the player explaining what he sees, so they can find common ground.
Yeah.
They're trying to win. They're not trying to fight each other. They're trying to win. And as a coach, when you can find common ground with your players from that standpoint, it's awesome. And then on the field, man, I'm watching guys that I haven't followed cuts. I'm opening in the school year. My daughter going to college. It's been a interesting August for me getting ready for this year. But I'm with that said, I'm at peace, and I'm as excited and rested as I've been in a long time in Labor Day weekend. But there are guys that I don't know if they made the team or not, but I see the veterans that I know who they are. By the way, even though I grew up across the street from the Orange Bowl, and I loved when the Dolphins used to beat the Patriots and the Bills and the Jets like a drum.
That was a while ago.
Oh my God, like a drum. Boom, 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 boom. It was win after win. I have an unbelievable amount of respect for the way Bill Belichick runs his organization. From outside, it's not like I got inside information. And the fact that they allowed me behind the scenes, I'm watching veterans, guys that have established contracts that are good. They don't have to go out of their way to help a young guy that could take their job.
Yeah.
They're worried about winning, man. They're worried about helping that young guy. They're worried about elevating that young guy. They're not scared of competing, but they're helping other people. And that came through like loud and clear, man. It was so powerful and refreshing to see that, because that's at the end of the day, that's how I've grown up. That's how I've always coached, and that's how I'll continue to coach.
One of the best organizations in the past 2 decades at the professional level. Now, we're recording this on Thursday the 7th. So hopefully we'll get it out later today, early on Friday. And then the first home football game is Saturday. And we got a special guest coming back. Marcus Camby is going to be at a tailgate hanging out. What's the plans for this weekend? Saying hi to him. And I just think it's really great that he's made a conscious effort to make Amherst, a part of his life.
He and a couple of associates are opening up a place in town called the White Lion Brewery in Amherst Center, and so I say that because he's invested in this community as a human being. That's the power, because he can open up. I mean, he doesn't live up this way. He can open up business where he lives or closer to his family or whatever it may be. He opened it where he went to college at, and he cares, man. I the day I got hired, one of the first text messages I got was from him, and I didn't know him. We got some common friends, but I didn't know him, and he's unreal. His love for this place, his love for this university, for this community. A lot of guys go to college, and they tend to forget the doors at college opened for them, especially in today's moment. This younger generation. I just spoke to our players about this yesterday. We've created this mindset of secure the bag, secure the bag, secure the bag, and it's such a selfish mindset. When Marcus played here, it was secure the bag for your team. Again, what we were just talking about, the Patriots, elevating each other. Yeah, talented guys, whatever. Now there's a mindset of like, let me go show what I can do so I can get a bag. And when you do that, you tend to forget the doors that have been opened by the people that open doors and give you opportunities. And Marcus has not forgotten that. This university means the world to him. This community means the world to him. That comes across with flying colors. He's doing that big tailgate. I'm excited. I'm a football guy. I can't wait.
Marcus Camby.
Oh,
yeah.
And then go see. We talked about it a month ago. With Don Brown and his guys, it's changed, man. I don't say change. I didn't know the previous regime. I got no idea. I've been here. Don and I basically got here almost at the same time. Yeah. But I've been with Don before, and I went to his practices last year, and they worked, but they were missing that spirit. And I went back this year, and I was at practice, and I felt that spirit. I was like, this is starting to look a little bit more like Don Brown. And then I took my youngest son with me to a practice like a week later, and he was with me the year before at a practice, and he turned to me right away, and he said, like, Dad, these guys don't shut up. I said, no, they don't. And so I can't wait to go out there and see them smash, to quote Don Brown, but also spend time with Marcus and the fans and enjoy the tailgate. It's my only free weekend because recruiting starts up again on Sunday. Actually, it starts Saturday, and I told my staff I can't do anything Saturdays. I got to be here for Marcus. But
I think, Coach, it also, from a perspective like Camby, where it's a great example of what you can do as a student athlete and the impression you can make in a region and a state. I mean, when I say UMass, that's the first thing that people say. They go, oh, Marcus Camby. And now in the world of the transfer portal, you're there 1 year and then you go somewhere else for a year, 2 years, and you don't have that ability to really make that impression and that impactful impression on the community as much as you did prior, if you're just bouncing around places.
Yeah, this is the slippery slope that former athletes and their former university kind of live in. Like, for example, me, I'm fortunate. I've been in college basketball now 4 years, I guess I'm going on. I'm not big on asking former players for anything. I might call them to have a conversation. I might pick their minds. If they're in town, I might ask them to come by and speak to our players. But I'm not big on that because they sacrifice their bodies and their energies, and they for the most part, they represent the communities and the universities the right way. Now the other side to that coin is you got guys like Marcus Camby who the university, they appreciate what the university did. They don't need anything else from the university. They make themselves available to elevate the university and make it better for the next guy. And unfortunately, you have some former athletes. I'm not about UMass. I'm not about any sport, any university in the country that resent that the university don't give them a job after their playing days. And those are few and far between. But Marcus is, and I share that story because Marcus is one of the guys that obviously he had 20 years success in the NBA.
Yeah.
But even with all that success, and even, Derek Kellogg said something interesting to me, and John. But by the way, when they recruited Marcus to come to UMass, Tony Barbee said his name was John. After Marcus Camby, he became Cal. So that's Barbee telling me the story. But Kellogg says I'm dying for somebody to ask John Calipari at a press conference, how'd you keep Marcus Camby in school for 3 years? He says, he said, Derek says, like, Frank, it's easy to see how they kept me in school for 4 years, but, no one ever asked him, how'd you keep Marcus Camby in school for 3 years? It's, that's a credit to Cal, his staff in this university.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be fun to have your guys be out there. Your team has been very active. Just in the first couple of days, I know on Labor Day, you had a pizza drop off to a bunch of students over at Southwest. I think the guys are over. A great turnout at some of the soccer games we've had here as well. So that's been a point of emphasis for you. I know you got the golf cart that's branded with the Minuteman logo driving around. We had Jake Hayden, the director of basketball operations, picking people up in the Frank Mobile and dropping them off at their dorms. So that has been a point of emphasis for you. Why?
I don't pass blame. I don't sit around and blame. At this time last year, you and I could have had 97 conversations. I had no idea what the challenges in front of me were to build a program. None. The bottom line is, after being through a season here, I got a better handle on some things.
Yeah.
We've got to improve our home attendance. And I get it. We got to do our part first. Plain and simple. I'm not here to dwell on what happened 2 years ago, 5 years ago, or even in the Calipari years. I'm not here to dwell. I'm here to learn from all that, but I'm here to build. And you can't build if all you do is blame. So I'm not into the blaming. I'm into the okay, I've identified things that we got to do better. We've got, as players in the program, we've got to get our players to show up at other sporting events, to support other athletes. Come watch basketball. Well, we got to start going to watch the other athletes on campus. And not only is it to interact with the common student that's in the stands, but it's to support our peer athletes that are on the court or fields. And, that creates camaraderie. And that starts building trust and relationships to get students to come to games. We got to get on campus during the school day and engage students and let them know, yo, man, we need you. When we go to VCU, we go to St. Bonaventure, we go to all these A-10 schools, they're all sold out. So we're going on these courts to play games. I didn't know this last year. I had no idea. Just the same way I didn't know when I was in the Big 12. When I got to South Carolina, I had people tell me, well, this gym, this gym, that people ain't going to be there. And you walk out for the game, and it's packed and people all over you. And it's having a fan base is vital. If you go and you look at top 20 programs, including UMass, when UMass was consistently in that window, I guarantee you they also have top 20 in the country as far as percentage of seats filled in their building. I guarantee they go hand in hand. And we gotta rebuild that. It's happened here before. There's support. We've got to provide a better product on the court. Our guys and me have to do a better job on campus in the community. That's why doing some of these things are so important. We did community service this summer in different communities around the area. It's all part of building a program. And again, Jay, I'm not here to blame. I'm not here to say, well, this guy didn't know what he was doing. This guy doesn't do that guy. No, I ain't into all that. I'm into working. I'm into let's roll up our sleeves. That's why 93-degree days and we're closing schools down. I'm the opposite. I'm like, let's roll up our sleeves and if we got to sweat, we got to sweat. Let's go do it. And we've got, you've been around our players. We've got, it's a team full of personality. And I think getting our guys to share their personality with others is going to get people excited about coming out and rooting for them. And now we got to do our part. I got to coach them. They got to play. We got to play a fun brand of basketball. I think we saw that at times last year. We all live in this world. And I don't mean to drag other people into our podcast here, but you see this whole reaction to Deion Sanders in Colorado. Well, we were kind of in that same boat last year in early December. And, there's a whole lot of feel good and all that. But the bottom line is it's a whole season. And, it's God forbid, knock on wood, that Deion's quarterback, his son, and that receiver DB don't get hurt. Yeah. We dealt with it with the injury bug, and it destroys your opportunities in year one because you don't have the foundation in place to deal with adversity. And but you saw it at times how we played. That it's going to be a fun brand of basketball. Now we have to take advantage of all those lessons, the Matt Crosses and Keons and all those guys, everything we learned last year to further solidify us and strengthen us as individuals and as a team. So we can help, just like we were talking about the Patriots. So now they're the older guys that can help the young guys. And then we can create a team based on the experiences that this moment's going to show us. And then we got to play teams that our fans are going to be excited about coming to watch. And, one thing that I will share, go back and study the early, because everyone talks to me about, well, when Cal was here, they scheduled this team and that team. I get it. I understand. I go back and see the teams he scheduled his first 4 or 5 years. They didn't schedule any of those big name teams. They had to elevate their program first before he can sign up to not him. He would have signed up from year one before he can convince some of those other schools to sign up to play UMass. Well, we've got to continue to work to elevate our program.
Harder now than ever to do that too, right? Because of the way that there's fewer non-conference games and how the other schools are trying to be more strategic about what they're doing. So it's a lot more difficult from a scheduling standpoint to just say, yeah, we're going to play Arkansas first game. But we are going to Hawaii, just to let you know, Coach. And I'm excited to get to know these guys. I mean, some of the guys have been, they've been so friendly to me. They've seen me in passing. But I have booked that flight that is already locked in. So whatever happens, like if things get canceled or whatever, I'll still be there for Christmas. I'm looking forward to that.
Are you going to take surfing lessons while we're out there? Because I know you're more of a lake river.
You might not know this about me, Coach, but I spent 2 semesters at a school called Hawaii Pacific University downtown Honolulu. Yeah, so I have tried surfing. It is very, very difficult for those that have never done it, man.
Yes.
But the schedule came out this past week. You've got a slew of games on national TV, which is awesome. The conference schedule, we knew kind of who the partners were. What were your thoughts when you saw kind of how the whole schedule shook out from a A10 standpoint?
I don't know. Some people get excited about conference schedules.
Yeah.
I don't care. We're all going to play each other. Conference schedules are brutal. I'm still in a good mood. When we do this in early February, I'm going to look like I've been in a fight with Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali and George Foreman all at the same time. Conference season is hard, man. It's hard. After being through it, I already knew it coming in. That's one thing I was already aware of the A10 is the coaches in this league are really good. I don't need to coach against them, to understand how good Mark Schmidt is or how good Mike Rhodes was and continues to be, even though he's in a different league now, or Travis Ford or Anthony Grant. I don't need to coach against them. Even though I have against a bunch of them, I didn't need to do that to understand the basketball here. But I'm excited. I'm excited. We're going to have some opportunities to showcase our team on the prime time games of the conference, for others to see, not just fans of UMass or our opponent. It's going to be in channels where people in the Midwest can watch it if they want to. And and so I'm geeked up. I'm ready to go. The A-10 lost the second most players in the country due to transfers. So I would say early in the year, the St. Bonaventures of the world, the George Washingtons of the world that return all their really good players, they're probably going to be ahead of schedule compared to everybody else. That's just a guess on my part. I'm just using those two teams as an example. And the rest of us are going to fight our tails off to use a non-conference slate to develop our team best we can, because we understand how hard A-10 basketball is, and go out there and compete against it, and hopefully figure out a way to win a lot more than we lose.
That schedule's up on the website, umassathletics.com. Tickets forthcoming this week as well. We hope to see everybody for those games, and a lot of Saturday games too. I know that was lacking in the past, so hopefully we'll be able to do what you said earlier and fill this place up and have a lot of excitement here at the Mullen Center.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing you brought it up. I omitted to say it. It's because of our location where we're at. Saturday games are a lot easier for our fans to be at, which I understand and respect. With all that said, though, we've got to do our part to play a certain brand and create an environment where now our fans are willing to sacrifice. Because you've heard me say this before. When you're trying to build a program, you're asking your fans to sacrifice their time, their money, and their emotions. Those three things. And those are the three most precious things that we own as individuals: our time, our money, and our emotions. And I get it. If you ask them for those three things, then they're invested. And if they're invested, they're going to be happy with you, but they're going to be pissed at you too. And I'm okay with that. But like I tell you, all our fans all the time, anytime our fans get in their car and they get on 91 going south, 91 going north, Mass Pike going east, going back towards Albany on the other direction, whichever direction our fans have to drive in the heart of the winter, I just need our fans to remember I go home to a UMass alum. So if when I walk in my door, if we did not represent that brand the right way, I'm getting beat up before I'm allowed in my house. So it's
you can't escape it.
No. So it's and now being empty nesters with all our kids in boarding schools, colleges, I've got even more issues because she's going to pay even more attention because she don't have the kids around to keep Anya's attention. So, but we have to work our tails off to build a. We've got a fan base to earn their trust. So they fight the fight with us, and they show up and help us so we can compete with some of the environments that we're asked to play in the A-10 when we're not at home.
So I was going to try to get your thoughts on conference realignment. Stanford and Cal have joined the ACC, it appears. But I'm going to punt that till next week, I think, Coach, because what you just said there, I just wanted to mention this. The football team won on week 0 on national TV down in New Mexico State. It was a bowl team a year ago. It's a good win. The amount of people that messaged me that I hadn't heard from was equal to where when you guys won the Myrtle Beach Invitational, same thing, national TV during the day, it felt like. And when those moments happen, there's just a swelling of pride, I think, not only for myself, but for everyone that kind of comes out of the woodwork. And we need those people that are out of the woodwork to stay out of the woodwork and be a part of this program, in perpetuity.
Yeah, and by the way, not because I know we're going to talk about that conference stuff, and we'll push it back a week. But think about what you just experienced from week 0 to week 1. That's what these leagues are going to be exposing their athletes and their people to.
Yeah.
In football, you're lucky because it's 1 a week. And think about how stressful that was 1 a week. Think about if you got to do it twice, 3 time zones over, and you got a Tuesday road game and a Friday game back on the East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, we came back from New Mexico State. The game was Saturday night, 5:30 Mountain Time. I was at my house 7 a.m. Sunday morning.
Think about it. Think about it. If it's another sport and it's a Tuesday night game, how is that productive? But let's not do. That's a different deal.
We'll table that for next
time. Yeah. No, it's listen. I say this all the time. I've always said this. I'm going to demand that our players go to class. I'm going to work my tail off along with my staff to make sure that they respect the community and represent in the community the right way. And then we're going to demand that our players, you see our guys in the weight room, you see our guys what they were doing outside today before. That's an all-the-time thing. You've seen us practice. I'm all over them in practice, and they compete in practice. None of that's going away. They're going to be held accountable. They're going to be challenged every day to grow and to believe in that uniform. When we don't play the right way, if the fan base wants to be mad at me, I get it. Fan base wants to say, I don't know what I'm doing, I get it. But come help those 18 to 21 2-year-olds that put on that uniform to represent your university. Don't give up on them. I've never. That's the unique thing about college sports that I don't get. I get the pro sport thing because you're a fan of an individual player. You're not a fan of a uniform. College fans are a fan of the uniform.
Yeah,
they're not. They're either members of the community, they're alums of the university, so they care about the uniform. They respect this name on the back, but they're a fan of this name. Professional fans most of them are fans of this name. That's why Tom Brady goes from team to team, and the fan base goes with him. That's why LeBron James goes team to team to team, and the fan base goes with him. But college sports, man, your fan base are fans of the uniform, fans of the name on the front, and respect the name of the back. And so as a fan of college basketball, since that's a sport I coach, I've never understood and why a fan would get negative with the players. It has nothing to do with making money, not making money. That's irrelevant to me. It's just the nature of the beast. And people want to criticize me. You see what I look like? I mean, I've been hit with a baseball bat. I've been punched in the face. I got no hair left. I'm old and I'm beat up. Like, anything they say is not going to make me lose my hair anymore. I'm not going to stress out anymore. I'm at that stage in life where I told a friend the other day, man, I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about this school. I'm excited about rebuilding this program. And I'm trying, I'm starting to get to that stage in my career, not in life, my career, where I'm just trying to get the chance to slide into home one more time. I'm trying to score that. I had a chance to slide into home at K-State, and it was awesome. I slid into home all those years as a high school coach. When you're a part of there's a documentary on our high school. We're actually showing it to our team tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the documentary is incredible.
What's it called?
The Asylum, which was the nickname of our home gym. And when in 16 years of high school basketball, you play for the state championship 11 times and you win 8 of them, you're around like incredible success. I slid into home as a high school coach plenty of times. I slid into home at K-State. I slid into home in South Carolina. but I've never slid into home to score the winning run, if you understand what I'm saying. And you know, that means you win the last game of the year.
Yeah, baseball metaphors for me. So
you like baseball,
Right
so you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, now I'm going to continue the conversation because I don't feel like doing all the other things that I have to do once I get off this call with you. So, when you look at last year's team,
yep,
you had the success early on, beat Murray State, Colorado, went through the injuries. Do you think that it was almost like two different teams, two different chapters of the season?
Yes, because our personnel continued to change.
Right.
I mean, all right. So let's drag football, our guys, back into this. What was the biggest difference, winning at New Mexico State or not winning at New Mexico State? What would you say was the difference?
Scoring points.
Okay, to score points, you need what?
You need talented players and guys that can move the football, that can throw. Yeah.
The guy that sits behind the center, that handles the ball more than anybody else in the game.
Yep.
Correct?
Most important position in sports, they say.
Correct. And I'm not trying to take a shot at the guys that tried it last year. They worked their tails off, and they were tougher than nails. But when I was watching that New Mexico State game, that young man, I don't know him. I don't know much about him. I know that's who the staff trusted. He made incredible plays with his legs. And then I don't know if you remember, New Mexico State now scores, and their crowd's getting into the game. Yep. And he makes that throw right across the middle to that one wide receiver.
There's like yards. Yeah.
But he threw that ball. When you see it on TV, I mean, there's a window like this big, and boop, right into the receiver. And I'm sitting there saying, wow, you know, that kid had some courage in that moment, because it's easy to make that pass when you're up 21-0. It's hard to make that pass when the other team is coming. And, you know, that's kind of what we went through last year. And we didn't just lose one. We lost our top 2 point guards right in December. And it was complicated. And then we lose, you know, just not to harp on guys that are not here anymore, but then we lose RJ to a concussion. We had kind of reinvented ourselves playing without Noah.
Yeah.
And Rasul was playing at a bad wheel. And then Rasul rolls his wheel again. So now he's removed from the team. And now RJ suffers a concussion right in the middle of league play. These aren't excuses. These are facts of the moment. So you're constantly in the middle of the season with a team that you're coaching for the first time ever, with guys that, other than Wildens and my son Brandon, had never played for me. You're trying to reinvent how your team needs to play offensively, not defensively, to win the game. And then you lose Matt Cross to the health deal, and then he comes back and sprains his knee. And it was hard, man. It was complicated. It wasn't easy. And we were constantly trying to reinvent ourselves, game to game, week to week. And when you do that, that's adversity. Well, how do you manage that? And we obviously we reinvented ourselves and started to I think we were 4-5 at one time in league play, and we had won 2 or 3 games in a row to get there, and went to George Mason, if I remember correctly, and we're right there to win. We lose RJ.
That's when he got
concussion.
He got hit in the nose. He was bleeding. No foul call, by the way. I'm just saying.
I'll let you speak about that.
Let me do that. Yeah.
And then we started leaking, and then we just kept leaking, and eventually. We fought our tails off to beat St. Bonaventure at home for the last game of the year, but the gas tank was empty, and then we obviously saw what happened against Richmond. But yeah, that was the challenge of last year.
Do you think? And by the way, that win against St. Bonaventure was the first one, and I think it was like 8 or 9, maybe even more, 10 tries against the Bonnies. So, That has been no small feat. When you see I think that speaks to you as a coach, is saying, okay, look, this piece is taken away. Now I got to transition here. And that's when RJ started scoring all those points after Fernandes went down. When you look at kind of the different slices of who you were a year ago, are any of those moments in last year's time going to be similar to the personnel that you have this season, or is it entirely different?
No, I don't know. After Puerto Rico, my basic impressions as we prepare to attack this coming season is I love the enthusiasm and the unselfishness of our team. They celebrated each other while the game was going on, regardless of who was playing and who was not playing. There were no malcontents because I wasn't in the game or whatever it may be. There was a genuine competitive spirit by everybody. We one of the teams we played was not very good. We kind of won that pretty easily. The other team we played the second day was better. Didn't have a lot of depth, didn't have a lot of size. They made the game really hard. They all played zone. So, you got a bunch of new guys. And by the way, for anyone that says, well, blah, 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 have you watched the NBA? The Miami Heat plays more zone than anyone in the NBA, and teams don't know what they're doing to attack a zone. You got to know how to attack a zone. And when minimal practices in the summer with so many freshmen and first-year guys, just didn't know how to do it very well. But we figured out a way to win the game. Mm-hmm. And then the last game, that was the best team we played against, and that was a really competitive game. They had some older guys, some really good players, and again, we battled, and those guys figured out a way to help each other to win the game. So we got a really good competitive spirit. Now, the one thing that it's not a concern because of the competitive spirit, that's why I gave you all this stuff ahead of time. We weren't very good defensively. And we did some good things defensively, but the fundamentals of defensively, we weren't very good. So we've got opinions where we need to get better at right away for us to have a chance. But the depth is really good.
Is that a matter of guys not knowing where to be, or just a matter of not knowing how to defend?
Yeah, it's the new world we're in with grassroots basketball. Guys move around so much, and it's kind of the world we're starting to fight in college a little bit. That they don't establish a competitive balance for what I call fighting the ball. That means if you got the ball and I'm guarding you, I've got to put up a fight. I can't just show up and let you beat me off the dribble. If not, I don't care what defense you play. There's no defensive rotation that works if the guy on the ball doesn't put up a fight. And we've got that. That's not a UMass problem. That's a countrywide problem right now. That's something that we have to continue to teach. And then, can you play zone here and there and hide that? Yes, but over the course of a game, that's going to get exploited too. And I'm at peace with that. Like, I'll give you an example about last year. We weren't a very good off-the-dribble basketball team offensively. So in preseason, we're practicing like we're not very good off the dribble. I never realized that we were a poor on-the-ball defensive team. And now we start playing games, and our best perimeter defender was Noah. And when your best perimeter defender is your point guard, you got a chance because the ball starts up there. But as we started to lose him, teams started to really exploit us. And then the other guys behind them, now there's a bigger responsibility on their shoulders to have to guard the ball. And we were never really good in that department. So we always defended on our heel. You remember us defensively early in the year?
How early?
Through the Harvard game.
Yeah.
We're pretty good defensively. Not great. We're pretty good. And as we started going through the year and dealing with the injuries, especially at the point guard spot, our our defensive numbers really started to slip, and it was hard to sustain because you're on your heels all the time defensively, and if you're on your heels, you got no chance. You might get beat, but you better get beat on your toes. If you're on your heels, you got no chance. And we, that last month of the season, we were on our heels almost every defensive possession.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it sounds like you've got the idea of what you need to do. This is something I'm sure you've probably dealt with in the past.
Oh yeah, it's growth. It's first year. Like my last year. Let's go backwards a little bit. My last year, South Carolina. My perimeter was Jermaine Cousinard, starting point guard at Oregon. Devin Carter, probably best perimeter player at Providence. Eric Stevenson, who was West Virginia's best player last year. And I had a young man named James Reese who had transferred in from North Texas, who tremendous competitor. It was really, really hard early in the year to play man-to-man defense because Jermaine was hurt. And he's the only guy of all those I listed that had been on my team before. So then we had different guys playing at the point, and they didn't comprehend that initial hit. So we played a lot of zone early in the year to figure out a way to win games while we kept teaching our man-to-man in practice.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then as the season went on, we became more of a man-to-man team as Jermaine was reintroduced to our team. And then those other guys started to learn the strategy and the angle. Everything is angles. And that's like, even let's go back to baseball so I don't bore people with football all the time. It's the two sports I know, okay? When I was young, everything was hit down on the ball.
Yep.
Now is everything hit up on the ball. Angles. Everything's angles. I don't care what. If you're trying to guard the basketball and you take the wrong angle, you're going to get beat. And so everything is an angle and understanding the angle of the moment and then footwork. And so I got a feel for that with these guys because of summer, because we practice in the summer but how are we going to handle adversity? That's at the end of the day. I just told this morning, Mike Leffler and I, when you said you saw us talking, one of the things we spoke about is, everyone says, well, they're upperclassmen. They got a chance. Okay, I agree. People older have more of an emotional balance to be able to deal with the good and the bad. But the best part about experience is when a coach and a player have experience together, because they comprehend how to manage one another. So they can kind of foresee what the other one's going to do, so you can handle moments a little bit better. And I don't have that with these guys. I have it with Matt Cross. I know what tickles him good and bad. I already got that one figured out. And he knows it about me too. Yeah. So now we can handle each other a little bit better. Same thing with Rasul. Same thing with Keith.
Yeah.
But now all these other guys, we got to figure that out as we go through it. And that's how you earn trust. Without it, you got no chance. So we'll figure it out. This team here is unbelievably fun to be around. So, which at my age is probably, healthy for me. I get calls from all these coaches around the country like, hey, Frank, I need you to recruit this player. I said, why? He needs you. I'm like, dude, how about sending me a guy that I need? I flip
favors.
I'm too damn old to keep fighting these fights sometimes, man. But no, it's the beauty of it. It's what it's all about.
That's great. Well, Coach, I just want to let you know I've had a bunch of people come up to me and send me messages about enjoying having you on each and every week and getting insight. So thank you for that. We hope to keep it up throughout the season. And I will see you at the tailgate on Saturday with Marcus Camby. Looking forward to that.
We're going to have some fun there and even more fun talking about conference realignment next week.
Okay, we'll put that on the docket. Thanks so much, Coach.
All right.
All right, that'll do it for us this week on the Just Being Frank. My name's Jay Burnham. He's Frank Martin, and he's just being Frank.